One call that changed everything. The first-class cabin of Atlantic Airways Flight 1482 buzzed with the quiet hum of privileged leather seats, clinking glassware, and the soft chatter of business travelers. At the heart of it stood Marcus Thompson, a 50-year-old black architect, his tailored navy suit crisp despite the coffee stain marring his pant leg. His 8-year-old daughter, Lila, clutched her stuffed seal, her eyes wide with confusion and hurt. Moments ago, a flight attendant had questioned her about her father, implying he might not be who he claimed. The cabin watched, some passengers whispering, others averting their gazes. Then Marcus made a single phone call. Within minutes, the airline CEO was on the line, and the flight attendant's face drained of color. How did a routine trip to Seattle spiral into a confrontation that would reshape an airline's policies and spark a national conversation? Marcus Thompson adjusted his tie in his Atlanta home, the morning sun streaming through the windows. A widower and single father, he balanced a thriving career designing sustainable urban spaces with raising Lila, whose love for marine biology filled their home with ocean posters and science journals. 3 years had passed since cancer claimed his wife, Sarah, leaving Marcus to navigate grief and parenthood alone. Today, he and Lila were headed to Seattle, a business meeting with Horizon Development Group, paired with a whale-watching adventure for Lila's spring break. First-class tickets were a rare splurge, a nod to the tough year they'd endured. Lila's new school, Marcus's grueling project in Denver. He wanted Lila to feel the world was hers, despite the subtle and not-so-subtle barriers they faced. At 50, Marcus knew the weight of those barriers well. Raised by a postal worker and a schoolteacher, he'd clawed his way through Yale's architecture program, one of 3 black students in his class. He'd learned to navigate spaces not built for him, to work twice as hard, to smile through microaggressions. His best friend, Nathan Carter, a civil rights attorney, had been his anchor since college. "You build spaces," Nathan would say. "I tear down walls." At Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, the familiar tension settled in Marcus's chest. Public spaces always carried a-risk: security guards who lingered too long, strangers who assumed he didn't belong. At the premium check-in, the attendant, Karen, hesitated. "You're both in first class?" she asked, her tone sharp. Marcus nodded, sliding their passports across. Lila bounced on her toes, oblivious, chattering about cinnamon rolls. Security was worse. Despite their TSA pre-check status, they were diverted to the standard line, Marcus's ID scrutinized repeatedly. "Is this your daughter?" the agent asked, ignoring their matching surnames. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "Yes, as the passports show." At the gate, the trouble escalated. Gate agent Laura Bennett studied their boarding passes with exaggerated care. "Are you sure you're in first class?" she asked, her smile tight. Marcus confirmed their seats, 3A and 3B, his patience thinning. Behind them, passengers shifted impatiently. Laura conferred with a colleague, then reluctantly let them board. Lila squeezed his hand. "Why did she ask so many questions, Daddy?" Marcus forced a smile. "Some people aren't used to everyone enjoying nice things." On the plane, Laura, now inexplicably at the aircraft door, demanded their boarding passes again. "Just confirming," she said, her eyes flicking over Marcus suspiciously. Other passengers, mostly white, mostly male, were waved through with warm greetings. In the first-class cabin, Marcus discovered another issue. Their adjacent seats had been reassigned. An older man sat in 3B. "There's a mix-up," Marcus said politely. The man shrugged, holding up his boarding pass. Flight attendant Emmeline Gwynn stepped in, checking her tablet. "This shouldn't have happened, Mr. Thompson." Before she could resolve it, Laura intervened. "The system shows these assignments," she said, her tone implying Marcus was at fault. The man in 3C, Robert Hayes, a middle-aged businessman, spoke up. "I'll switch if it helps." Laura dismissed him curtly, but after tense moments, she relented, reassigning seats so Marcus and Lila could sit together. As they settled in, Lila whispered, "Why didn't she want us together?" Marcus's heart ached, but he said, "Just a computer glitch, sweetheart." The slights continued. Laura served drinks with warmth to others, but dropped Marcus's coffee on his tray, splashing his suit. "Oops," she said, handing him a flimsy napkin. She asked for his ID again, claiming it was protocol, though no one else was checked. During the safety briefing, she demanded his boarding pass a third time. You've seen it twice, Marcus said evenly. Her lips thinned. Procedure. Lila's eyes darted between them, sensing the tension. The breaking point came when Marcus stepped to the restroom. He returned to find Laura leaning over Lila, her voice syrupy. Sweetheart, who are you traveling with? Lila, clutching her seal, stammered. My dad. Laura pressed. Where did you meet him? Tears spilled down Lila's cheeks. Marcus's voice cut through the cabin. What is happening here? Laura straightened, unfazed. Standard procedure for child safety. Marcus slid past her, pulling Lila close. She's my daughter. You've checked our passports. Robert Hayes, in 3C, spoke up. This is unprofessional. I've seen how you've treated them differently. Other passengers murmured, the cabin's mood shifting. Marcus's pulse raced, but Sarah's words echoed. Don't let them steal your joy. He'd promised her to teach Lila to face the world's harshness with strength. This wasn't just about him, it was about Lila's sense of worth. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm making a call. Laura smirked. Phones must be in airplane mode. Robert countered. We're still at the gate. Marcus dialed Nathan. After 2 rings, Nathan answered. Marcus? Shouldn't you be in the air? Marcus, loud enough for others to hear, recounted every incident: check-in, security, boarding, the coffee, and now Laura questioning Lila. Nathan's voice hardened. Put me on speaker. This is Nathan Carter, attorney at law, Nathan announced. To whom am I speaking? Laura hesitated. Laura Bennett, lead flight attendant. Nathan's tone was icy. Ms. Bennett, your actions violate airline policy and federal law on equal treatment. I'd like to see the protocol that justifies singling out a passenger and interrogating his child. Emily, the other flight attendant, stepped forward. Those aren't standard procedures. Robert added. I'll provide a statement. This was targeted. Nathan continued. Marcus, you're meeting Horizon Development, whose CEO is on the airline's board, correct? Marcus nodded. And your firm is designing the Civil Rights Museum expansion I'm chairing. The cabin grew still. Laura's confidence wavered. Nathan added, I'm conferencing in our legal team and contacting Ellen Harper, your CEO. Marcus, what do you want? Marcus looked at Lila, her tears drying as she watched him. I want acknowledgement of this discrimination, consequences for it, and assurance it won't happen to others. Passengers nodded. An elderly woman offered her contact as a witness. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, announcing a delay to resolve a situation. Laura's radio buzzed, and she stepped away, her posture rigid. Emily returned with the regional manager, Susan Grant. Mr. Thompson, we're sorry for any misunderstanding. Marcus cut in. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was discrimination. Susan's face tightened, but she nodded. You're right. We'll investigate fully. Nathan's voice boomed. We expect disciplinary action and systemic changes. Susan's eyes widened when Emily handed Marcus a phone. Ms. Harper is on the line. Ellen Harper's voice was contrite. Mr. Thompson, I'm horrified. This isn't who we are. She offered a private jet to Seattle. Marcus declined. This isn't about special treatment. It's about equal respect. He proposed 3 solutions: a public acknowledgement of the discrimination, enhanced diversity training, with his firm's consultation, and a donation to the Civil Rights Museum. Harper agreed instantly, and Ms. Bennett will be suspended pending investigation. As Laura was escorted off, the cabin erupted in applause. Captain Alvarez approached. Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry. Would you and Lila like to see the cockpit? Lila's eyes lit up. In the cockpit, she peppered the first officer with questions, her confidence returning. Back at their seats, Susan handed Marcus a draft statement for approval, explicitly naming anti-black racism. Robert passed his card. I'm a journalist with Business Weekly. This story needs telling. The flight took off, the crew now exemplary. Passengers shared stories of similar slights, forming an unexpected community. An email from Harper detailed new training and a passenger advocacy council. Lila whispered, Daddy, you changed how they see us. Marcus squeezed her hand, Sarah's memory vivid. In Seattle, Marcus secured the Horizon contract, and they explored Pike Place Market. Business Weekly's cover story, Flying While Black, sparked debates on corporate accountability. Atlantic Airways reported a 12% drop in discrimination complaints. Lila, inspired, created a school project on being an upstander, winning a district award. Back in Atlanta, Nathan greeted them at the airport. Over dinner, He shared that legislators were drafting passenger rights laws, inspired by Marcus's stand. That night, Marcus sipped Sarah's favorite wine, feeling her pride. One call had protected Lila's dignity and rippled outward, proving that courage could reshape the world. We want to hear from you. Have you faced injustice or violence in everyday spaces like travel or work? Would you have stood firm like Marcus, or chosen a quieter path to avoid conflict? Share your story in the comments and take a stand. Your voice matters in the fight for fairness.